Hey, what is up guys? It is Phantom here and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. So in this video, I'm going to be ranking all the Wizard101 worlds purely on the basis of how much nostalgia I have for each world, guys. This is going to be a bit of a weird video because I'm not really ranking the worlds based on how much I like them as worlds or like how much fun I really had in them, even though that kind of stuff does kind of go into nostalgia. It's really just based on how much basic nostalgia I have for each of the worlds. So obviously, you know, nostalgia, if you don't know, is sort of like a certain feeling that you get when you think about something and kind of how good it was in the past, if that makes sense. It has a lot to do with like happy memories and stuff like that, at least mostly happy memories. I don't know if like bad nostalgia necessarily exists. I mean, maybe it kind of does, or at least, I don't know, maybe you look back on it, maybe you look back on something bad in like a fond way. I don't know, nostalgia has a weird way of like kind of getting into your head and everything, and you know, it's really based on how many memories you have for a particular topic. So in this case, we're going to be doing all the worlds in Wizard101, guys. So yeah, really, let's just get into it. I mean, there's really not much to say. It's purely based on nostalgia. So, like, you know, by no means is, like, this a list, you know, showcasing my, you know, favorite worlds or, you know, like, why they're my favorite worlds. It's just nostalgia. That's it. And it's gonna cloud my judgment greatly, but it's fine. So anyways, let's get into the first world, guys, or I guess the least nostalgic for me. So you might have been able to guess what the least nostalgic world for me was, guys, based on, you know, the intro and everything. I guess sometimes in my intros I do reveal like the first spot on the list, I guess, and everything, because I don't know. I'm just lazy. Okay, I'll just put it out there right now. But the least nostalgic world for me has to be Mirage, and it was either this or another world that's gonna come after this. But I had to pick this one because, you know, I was looking back on it, and even though it is not the newest world is Imperia. So obviously you would think I'd have, you know, like a little bit more nostalgia here than like some of the other like older, or some of the older, some of the younger worlds, I guess, if that makes sense. So maybe, I don't know, I had more memories, more time to reflect on Mirage, if that makes sense, and, you know, kind of get all that nostalgia out of it. But when I looked back on it, it just really didn't do it for me. Like, it just, something about this world just didn't feel right. You know, obviously it's by no means my favorite world, and obviously favoritism does go into it a little bit. But if I just looked back on it, and I didn't really have that many memories really questing through it. A lot of the areas were really, really forgettable, in my opinion. Like, questing through, gosh, I don't know, we're in the Ruble Waste right now. The only thing I remember from this is the Tower of Babel. That's it. Istanbul, I don't remember anything about. I mean, it was underground and there were snakes. Yaktal Mountain, I have literally no idea what this place even is. Like, there's just not a whole lot in this world that I actually remember, and I guess that's just why I had to put it here. There's just not a lot of nostalgic memories that I can attach to Mirage to, I don't know, make it seem better, like, I guess, because nostalgia also, you know, makes things seem a bit better. I mean, I don't know, hopefully people don't flag me in the comments for at least my definition of nostalgia, but I mean, I think I have a pretty good idea of what it is. Anyways, guys, let's get into the next world. You know, I really hate to put it here because it is one of my favorite worlds, and honestly, I did have a couple happy memories from Imperia, but there just wasn't enough for it to compete with the other worlds on this list, you know, just some of the more older worlds, and obviously they have the advantage because I've had more time to, like, you know, marinate with my decisions and everything like that. That was a weird verb to use with that kind of context. It's fine. So Imperia, guys, comes in at the next least nostalgic place, or I guess, you know, it is towards the end of the list, so that makes sense. But I'd hate to put it here because I have had some pretty interesting memories fighting like all the different unique mobs in Imperia, which there are a lot. There are a lot of unique mobs, and I specifically remember running through the jungle and like killing all these beastie people. That I know, and like some of the bugs that they had there as well. That was one of my memories. If I go to, let me see, can I find the little teleporter? Here it is. What is it called again? Stream portal. That's right. I can at least think of one memory, like one specific memory that I can attach to each one of these areas. I'm obviously not going to go through each memory because that would take forever, because there are obviously a lot of areas in Imperia. It is a pretty fat world, but I can definitely attach one good memory to each one of these places, which I was not able to do for Mirage, sadly. I just forgot so much of Mirage. But Imperia, you know, maybe having it fresh in my mind did help it, at least a little bit on this list. I mean, it was second to last, I know, but there wasn't a ton of time for the nostalgia to be there, but there are definitely some happy memories that are, you know, that kind of resonate with me when I look back at all these areas. Like, the Husk, I remember, you know, laughing my ass off when Scorpion and the Rat were, like, going at it in the woods. That actually was an awful sentence. I didn't mean to, oh my god. But yeah, Imperia overall, has a little bit of an advantage over Mirage because it's more fresh in my head. Even though nostalgia doesn't exactly work that way, it's helped me just have more memories towards it anyway. So it is a little bit more nostalgic for me because there's just more to remember, I guess, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to put it here, guys. Anyways, let's move on to the next world. Coming up next, everyone, is going to be Polaris, however you want to call it. And I know what you're thinking. Oh god, Phantom, you know, he's just putting it in the order of, you know, how old the worlds are and everything, because obviously that helps with nostalgia. And honestly, for these first few, that's kind of true, even though Mirage did come last, so your reasoning is faulty. But anyways, I had to put, not Mirage, I had to put Polaris here, purely because, you know, in this case, you people are right. It is because even though it's a semi-new world, I mean, I'm actually curious, when did Polaris come out? When did Polaris, I'm just gonna look this up right now because I actually don't know. Okay, 2015, so it's actually been out for quite a while. Damn, it's actually been 5 years since Polaris came out. That is insane. I actually did not know that. I thought it came out like 3 years ago. Wow, that is crazy how time flies like that. So it has been out for a while, and I definitely have some pretty good memories here. Some pretty happy, nostalgic memories to share. Obviously, you know, climbing Borealis Peaks was a ton of fun in the world. Let's see. Oh, going to Krakatoa Ice Block, I believe that's the name. Like right here. Is that? No, right here? Calypso Dock? Where is it? Golem Guardian, that's part of Krakatoa Ice Block. I remember, like, you know, investigating Rasputin's plans to, like, build, you know, a bunch of golems to, like, take over Polaris and everything, and blah, 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 plot lines and stuff, you know. I don't know, I've had a few happy memories. I remember going to, I think, the Oracle, which was in the River of Frozen Tears, which is pretty cool. I remember Baba Yaga's insane house. Yeah, there's a few happy memories I have here. It's a great world, honestly. Definitely one of my favorites, as, you know, like Imperia and everything, which is also one of my favorites. This world is great, but for nostalgia, it has to go lower on the list. It hasn't been out as long as, like, in regards to the other worlds, if that makes sense, because the other worlds have been out for an extremely long time, and, you know, I've had time to pawn over them and everything. But Polaris, even though it is 5 years old, which is pretty old, I mean, there's not a ton. There's definitely some. There's just not a ton of memories, so I'm just gonna have to leave it right here. Anyway, let's get into the next world here. So I'm guessing the list probably will start getting a little bit more unique, you know, depending on my, you know, experiences with each of the worlds and everything like that. So let's get into the next one. I know I say this a lot, but I really, really hate to put it here. I really hate to put this world here because, oh, it's so good. It's such a good world. Oh my god. But I have to put Avalon here, guys. Avalon, for me, was a great experience, okay? I do have actually quite a bit of memories. So we're getting into, like, a portion of the game that I actually have a lot of memories because I've done these worlds on so many characters and everything, just different experiences all around, just, you know, creating a huge cloud of nostalgia, you know, in my head and everything like that. And Avalon is, of course, one of those. You know, it definitely belongs in that category because it has been out for a very, very long time. But when I had to look back on it, I had to look back at all the worlds, I realized I have the next least amount of memories with Avalon, if that makes sense. I feel like my whole phrasing, like, during this video is just going to be off and everything, but if it makes sense, Avalon's got to be put here, honestly. I have a lot of great memories. I remember in High Road getting pulled by, you know, the goblins off the streets and everything. I remember defeating the Bane Worm to collect the table. Abbey Road, I don't like it very much. That's the Monstrologist. What other areas are in Avalon? Let's see. Is this that's the Wild? I remember a lot of fire there, if that makes sense. Is this Caerleon? Yeah, it is. I do remember a couple quests in here with the libraries and everything. That was really, really cool. Catacombs, I think? Yeah, Catacombs. It hasn't even been that long since I've done this world, so these should be pretty fresh in my head. Catacombs, I remember, obviously, going through to the, what's it called? King Artorias' tomb, discovering he wasn't there. That had me shooketh. And what was this place? Dundara. That's right. I remember... I remember going here to craft Avalon gear. Okay. I'm sorry, my memory is good. My memory is good, I swear, okay? And yes, a lot of, like, nostalgic memories, I don't know, I do have a hard time remembering, but it's like, they're there, and, like, those experiences kind of stick in your head. But Avalon just had, like, some of the least amount of those for me, even though it had quite a bit, you know, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's enough for Avalon. Let's move on to the next world. Next up on the list, honestly, I hate to put it here. Actually, I don't. Zafaria, I hate you. You're just an awful world. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the Zafaria lovers out there, but if you have been watching this channel for at least a little while, you probably know I'm not the biggest fan of Zafaria, but As for nostalgia, it is a little bit on the lower side, but it's not too low. Like, it's obviously not as low as, you know, Imperia, Mirage, and Polaris and everything like that. I do have some memories. Obviously, Zafaria, it is a pretty old world. Honestly, the most nostalgic part of Zafaria might just be that commercial that I saw on TV with Morgantha and everything, and her flexing her power and everything, and just flexing Zafaria in general. Honestly, it wanted to make me play the game a bit more. It was a good commercial. Those are really nostalgic, but honestly, I do have a lot of memories in Zafaria. If we go over to the areas here, we see, okay, Graveyard, Stone Town, Drum Jungle, Waterfront. Right, I remember, oh god, I remember Belloc in Waterfront, my first introduction to him. Yeah, it was not very pleasant. I remember in Stone Town farming for a ton of sandstone as well as Greyhorn Mercenaries. Graveyard, god, honestly, just a really, really cool place in Zafaria. I think you go there to defeat like 4 bosses, not really sure. Drum Jungle, definitely one of my favorite areas in Zafaria, but the pole radius, not good, not too good. I specifically remember a lot of stuff about that. There's obviously a few more areas, like, I believe this one goes to Savannah. Yeah, Savannah, and then there's the Crown, the Market, and the outskirts. Yeah, I remember that. So there is quite a bit of areas here. I've had quite a bit of memories, especially questing through friends. This was kind of around the time that I met a couple of friends in the game and everything, and we quested through a lot of Zafaria together, and then eventually into the higher level worlds. They probably quit around Azteca Chrysalis, if I'm remembering correctly, if my memory serves me correct and everything like that. But Zafaria, you're not the highest on the list, you're not the lowest, so I got a pretty decent amount of memories here, but they're memories that I don't exactly want to revisit. Like, obviously, there were some good ones, you know, having fun with friends and everything. That's probably most of the good ones. They don't have to really do with the quests or anything, but I don't know. There's definitely some nostalgia here, but I don't know. The game's obviously nostalgia in general. I have nostalgia for every single world, but Zafaria, you are more mid to low tier, I suppose, so anyway, gonna leave you here, and let's get on to the next world. The next world slash, I guess you could call it more of a area slash dungeon area. I don't really know what to call Darkmoor, but it is next up on the list, and I would put it at its own separate world because obviously the area of Castle Darkmoor is located in the world Darkmoor, so this is technically, basically, essentially, a lot of these. This is essentially its own world. I mean, really, like, obviously it's connected to Wizard City and everything. It doesn't really have a specific place in the spiral door because it's not like a full world. I really wish they'd do a full world of Darkmoor someday. I'd love to see that. But for now, we've just got this little slab of Darkmoor to work with. And honestly, I have a decent amount of nostalgia here. I remember, obviously, farming through the first part, or not farming through the first part, questing through the first part was incredible because the whole dungeon looked really amazing, and bosses used new spells and they had new mechanics that we'd never even seen before on like a scale of difficulty that we'd never even seen before as well. So I remember how much that stuck in my head about how difficult the dungeon was and everything like that. So then of course we move on to the second area of Darkmoor. I remember the Spirit of Darkmoor was probably the hardest boss in there. I mean, I've done Shane many times on my death now, farming for the amulet and everything, and it wasn't too bad. I know a lot of people like to say Shane's the hardest, but the Spirit of Darkmoor for me was definitely the hardest with her, like, Mystic Colossus and her, like, Life Leviathan spells and everything like that. That kind of just stuck in my head because of how awful that was. And then, obviously, you come to the final area here, which is the Graveyard, which drops all the good gear, you know? Which drops all the good gear for you to farm for and everything like that. So I have many memories trying to get the Darkmoor, get the Darkmoor gear and everything. So, anyway, that's really all I gotta say about Darkmoor. I farmed here with a few friends. I didn't have that many friends by the time Darkmoor came out. I had like 3. I had like 3 in real life friends that like quested with me, or like quested with me and then farmed with me with Darkmoor and everything. They quit soon after, ripped them and everything, but that most of my memories consist of, you know, stuff like that and everything. Ooh, punishment. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about Darkmoor. Mainly just dungeon farming. Sometimes with friends and everything like that. So I also have, you know, good and bad memories of, you know, different experiences with the bosses and everything like that. So I'm gonna put this here on the list. And anyway, let's move on to the next world. Wow. Absolutely awful world right here. Absolutely fucking shit world right here. I absolutely hate Azteca. But that's besides the point. We're talking solely on nostalgia and memories here today, so most of my memories in Azteca consisted of questing through friends, you know, throughout the battles and everything, and kind of just struggling together, because obviously people's stats were a lot worse back then. People's stats were a lot worse. I remember coming in here with like 60 damage on my fire, and okay, listen, before you roast me in the comments, okay, that was a lot more, like, those numbers were a lot more acceptable back then, okay? We didn't have as, like, easily accessible gear and everything. I believe I was rocking, like, full waterworks and, like, a shitty pet, so, like, I could get, you know, like a little bit of damage and a little bit of crit, but not too much, because at the time of this world coming out, I don't think Tartarus was out, so we didn't even have like that decent of gear. So that was really what I had to work with. And I just remember struggling through many quests together, because this world sucks, especially sucks to solo. I did it on my death. Yeah, I made a whole video about that. It's called the Azteca rant. You should really check it out. But seriously, the quests weren't a good experience, but I guess the times that I shared with friends were good experiences, and that's what I have nostalgia of. If I'm just really thinking about it, because I can't really think of any area in Azteca that I really like. I just don't like the world. Like it's just really not fun. Like the quest layout sucks. I don't know, it is mainly the quest layout and like the difficulty of the mobs and everything like that. Honestly, I know they nerfed it like a little while ago, but it's still bad, King Sal. It's still bad. But anyway, most of my memories come from questing with friends back when I actually had them. Man, I feel like every, wizard's heart just sank right there. But anyway, that's it for Azteca. Let us move on to the next most nostalgic world. Coming up next on the list of ultimate nostalgia is going to have to be Chrysalis. And honestly, if I'm thinking about it, if I'm thinking about all the memories like I've shared with people here, it's really similar to Azteca in that the quests were definitely not easy and our stats were not great. Obviously, by the time this world came out, we did have Tartarus, so I believe I did have at least, decent stats. I bet I think I was rocking probably like 80 or 90 damage with like 400 crit, maybe around like 200 block back when block was a thing, which honestly, those are not bad stats back then. I mean, we did not have a lot to work with gear-wise, but anyways, Chrysalis, most of my memories, most of my ultimate nostalgia comes from struggling through quests with friends and overall just having some banterful, funny moments and everything as I was questing through bosses and everything like that, and honestly just taking on the burden of Chrysalis together and struggling together to eventually, reach that level 95, and then they drop a part 2, and then we get sad again, and then we quest through together, and then we get to level 100, we beat Morganth, and that ultimate triumph. That is really the main point I want to make with Chrysalis. Like, it's all leading up to something big, and honestly, when I'm doing it, I kind of felt like I was on a clock, which is awesome. I mean, like, it really felt like I was getting something done. So that's really cool. Honestly, as for like singular areas and everything like that, Chrysalis areas, they really kind of blended together for me, like as in the fact that like when I quested through them with friends, I didn't really think about it too much. I'm more kind of focused on like having fun with my friends and everything, and obviously we were trying to get through the quest and everything, but it was more of those banterful moments that we shared, that it was very similar to Azteca in the fact that it was a bit of a struggle, but through the power of teamwork and friendship, we prevailed. Oh god, that sounds so fucking corny. I'm sorry. We're gonna move on to the next one. Oh my god, the memories, the absolute nostalgia that I shared with people in Ocula. Oh my god. Wow, bad and good. I mean, there's obviously 3 areas in Ocula. It's not a full world. It's mainly comprised of 3 dungeons: Mount Olympus, Tartarus, and Atlantia. Memories in all of them. Most of them definitely reside in Tartarus, though. Farming for that Hades gear back when there was no chest. Oh my god. And everyone had bad stats, and it was such a struggle. And it was awful, and I hated it. But I also loved it. And that's the weird thing about Ocula. I hate this dungeon too. I hate Mount Olympus and how the bosses all have like 4 point something K health or maybe like 5k health, even though you come in at level fucking 30. I mean, obviously it's meant to be a challenge so you can get that good gear. I understand why they did it and everything. Also, we are going to get an expansion on this, whatever this dragon area is. Like, come on, we know there's something in there, Kings. Please, hashtag open up the dragon area, honestly. Anyway, god damn it. So I hate this dungeon. I really hate this dungeon. I don't have that many memories about Atlantia. I mean, I just tried to get through it, because obviously you got to do this one to eventually get to Tartarus, or at least I think you have to do them exponentially like that if you want to gain access to Tartarus, which is obviously the ultimate dungeon in Ocula. I mean, a lot of these dungeons you don't really do anymore. I think Zeus is really good to do. Tartarus, you don't really need. Like, you can skip Tartarus if you want and go with like some crafted gear. Atlantia, just don't do it. Just don't do it. I mean, you have to, but don't do it more than once, okay? Don't do it more times than you need to / want to, but it's kind of a waste of time. But Tartarus, I had many memories. The most, I mean, going through it just with friends, lots of struggle, I have to say. Just the battles were unimaginable, really. They were insane for their time. I'll be honest. When this dungeon came out, it was unlike anything we'd ever seen before. Similar to Darkmoor, but honestly on a bigger scale. Like, this dungeon was hard. Mostly, I just remember achieving victory through the weirdest means possible, through the bosses in Tartarus, and eventually triumphing and getting the gear and everything like that. It was just a big victory for me when I eventually did that. But Ocula, I love you, but I also hate you. Like, you wasted a lot of my time, but I guess it was well worth it in the end. Obviously, your gear's not as good as it once was, so I don't know. Like, let me know down below if you, like, skip Ocula entirely, because I feel like some people do that nowadays, because the gear just isn't as useful as it once was, or, like, worth it, but I don't know. I still think the Zeus gear is actually really, really worth it to go for. That gear is actually extremely important. Otherwise, though, I don't know. Ocula, you're great. I also, like, hate you in a way. Like, it's a love-hate relationship if you guys couldn't tell. So, anyways, that's it for Ocula, but let's move on to the next nostalgic world. Coming up next on the list, guys, we have the underwater space world of Celestia. Now, this one, as for nostalgia, there's a lot in like, the quests that you do. I don't know. Something about the quests in Celestia, like, just stick in your head, if that makes sense. Like, the areas, I mean, they're all pretty unique. I'll admit, Celestia does do a good job having a bunch of unique areas, like the floating land, I mean, the Science Center, Crustacean Empire, the Grotto, blah, 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 all that stuff. I think the areas are pretty unique. I remember defeating a lot of specific bosses, like that alien guy in the Trial of Spheres. He was absolutely awful, if you guys know who I'm talking about. There's also the Sun Goddess, who's like the final boss. I remember meeting Morganth, obviously. It was a huge turning point, really, for me, because this was kind of when I started caring about the lore of the game a little bit more, and like started to pay attention to what like NPCs said to me and everything, and followed the story just a little bit more, because like by the time this world came out, I mean, let's be honest, I was questing for quite a while. I skipped a lot of dialogue as a kid. You know, I just kind of wanted to play the game and everything like that, so I got really invested into the lore here. And I just remember, like, attaching a lot of that lore to the bosses that I did. So, like, it just made the bosses, like, stick in my head for me. Because, like, I kind of realized, like, why I was doing it. What I was doing. Like, I started paying attention to the quests a lot more. So, for me, the quests stuck in my head a lot. But, really, there's not that much to say about Celestia. I did quest with friends here a little bit. It wasn't, like... the period of, like, questing through friends, for me, at least, like, when I met friends in real life who actually played the game. I know, crazy, right? You can't really do that anymore unless you get super duper lucky, but the whole period of me, like, questing through friends was, like, Zafaria. Like, it started in Zafaria through, like, Chrysalis / Darkmoor. That's kind of when it ended. So, Celestia, I was still kind of a solo. I mean, I was kind of a solo for a while, actually. I was forever alone, man. I honestly condemned to be like that for the rest of my Wiz career, but it's fine. Anyways, Celestia, I don't have a ton of memories with friends, but for me, paying attention to the lore and the quests that I was doing, that's really what I remember from it. And, like, you know, what we were doing here and our purpose, you know, our ultimate goal and everything, which was kind of vague for Celestia, now that I'm kind of remembering back at it, because we don't meet Morganth till, like, the very end. But anyways, that's all I gotta say about Celestia. Let's move on to the next world. Coming up next, we're getting into some really, really old worlds here, like some really, really old worlds that have been around for just absolutely ages. But next up is going to be Mushu, and honestly, I do have a lot of memories here. Obviously, solo questing, this was before I really met anyone, and I was still kind of starting the game. I mean, I remember kind of... It's hard to explain, really, how I questioned the world. I remember doing the world in spurts, basically. Like, I remember one day I would play, like, a ton of Mushu, and then the next day I would... Or, like, the next 2 days I wouldn't play a lot of Mushu. And then I would just, like, go back to it, and then I'd, like, do a whole, like, entire area. Then I'd, like, quit for, like, a week, and then I'd, like, come back, and then, like, play for, like, 4 days. I don't know, it was, like, really inconsistent with the way I did Mushu and everything. But I finished it fairly quickly. I mean, I kind of exaggerated with the week thing. Most of the breaks only lasted, like, a couple days or a couple hours. I mean, I was pretty addicted, so... I was pretty addicted. I had a lot of memories just soloing. The bosses just weren't too bad. I mean, I was still kind of a kid. I mean, I was definitely still a kid. I'm still kind of a kid. I mean, like, I don't know, depending on your opinion. I was definitely a kid back then, though. I was 100% a kid, and I kind of just, you know, I remember just having fun with the game and everything. I just remember having fun. Like, the bosses, like I said, they weren't too hard. Obviously, the start of the game is kind of catered more towards kids, and that it's not that difficult, and everything like that, so... I had a lot of memories just easily breezing through the quests and everything, you know, just enjoying being a fire wizard in general, learning new spells. I don't know, Mushu's quests, they're pretty fun. Like, it's a pretty decently fun world, honestly. And, I don't know, nothing can really take away the nostalgia, I feel. Definitely not the most nostalgia. I feel like Mushu might actually be some people's, like, most nostalgic world, I guess. I don't know, I feel like that would kind of make sense. Like, it does have some... like nostalgic feel to it with the music and everything, and just the zen of the whole place. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about Mushu. Really nostalgic world, really old world. I did this a really long time ago, but anyways, that's all for this world. Let us move on to the next one on the list. Coming up next is the world of Dragonspire, and all I gotta say about this one, all I gotta say about Dragonspire and the memories and the nostalgia I have for it is that this world just, it felt like I was on a fucking clock. And I said that, I think, for Chrysalis as well. Chrysalis kind of had a similar feel to it, but I felt like I was on a clock. Like, I felt like if I didn't save the spiral in the next couple days, like, Wisteria would destroy everything. And honestly, it just kind of, still kind of evokes that feeling within me whenever I quest through Dragonspire, but a lot of the memories I have are just kind of have to do with the fact that this world is a fucking climb. Like, you literally climb through each area of Dragonspire, you know, getting up to the top of the volcano where, you know, the Dragon Titan is, as well as Master. Sorry, Alex Trollheart kind of, you kind of distracted me from making my video, but it's okay. It was literally a climb, though. Like, you going through each area, like, the bosses were decently difficult for the level that you came in at. Like, obviously an upgrade from Mushu and everything like that, so I remember struggling quite a bit as a solo wizard. I remember getting friends once in a while, but overall I remember a lot of the lore and everything, and like how to become a dragon rider and kind of how we went about that, like getting knowledge from all the mother drakes and everything. And then of course there was like Castamere Silver Drake, who was like instructing us to, like, you know, based on like how to ride the dragon and like get like certain equipment and everything like that. I hope I'm getting that right. I'm not really sure, but I just remember this world being a fucking climb, and it took a while for me to get to the end, I'll be honest, but I did feel like I was on a clock the whole time. I had a lot of pressure, you know, welled up inside me to save the spiral before it got destroyed and everything like that. So that's really what sticks in my head about this, is mainly the quests and everything. They were pretty enjoyable, even though they were fairly difficult. So that's all I really got to say about Dragonspire. I mean, not too much to share friends-wise. I don't think I had many in-game friends at the time and everything, so I mainly did this world solo, and I just remember struggling, but also having a good time at the same time, you know, if you know what I'm saying. So, just something like that. Mixture of difficulty and nostalgia. So, anyways, that's all for Dragonspire. We are moving into, I think, all first Dark worlds here, so let's just move on to the next one. Coming up next, guys, we have Wisteria, and this world, you know, it's just really nostalgic in the way that it like evokes this sort of feeling of nostalgia, like this specific feeling of nostalgia because of its decor, like the design of the world and everything, as well as the music. Really like takes me back to the memories like when I was a kid and I was like playing on a shitty laptop, you know, just running through Wisteria and everything, not really completely knowing what I was doing and kind of struggling through it, even though this world is not that difficult at all. But I was bad at the game. I mean, we were all bad at one point, you know, no one's born good at the game, and that kind of reminds me of these times, like these struggle times about how I was like a noob, but I was like a blissfully ignorant noob. Sorry, there, yeah, I got it out eventually, guys, don't worry. But it really does remind me of those times, and those were really, really good times. Let me just take that cat tail. Thank you, Triton Fountain. But anyways, people get annoyed when I don't collect the reagents in the videos, if you guys don't know. But anyway, Wisteria, the way that you're designed, the quests, you know, weren't that significant, I'll be honest, but like something about it, like something about this fucking world just evokes like really insane nostalgia and like really, really insane memories of just soloing through it as a noob wizard and like struggling through it. So that's really all I gotta say about Wisteria. Hello, Martin Bellwether. You live in a lovely world, okay? I'm just saying, you live in a very lovely world, which doesn't have very significant quests, but at the same time, I remember like almost all of it and like being a noob and questing through it. I don't know, something about it just, I don't know. Maybe it's because the world's like kind of childish and a bit kid-like. I don't know, maybe it just brings out the kid within me. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. But anyways, let's move on to the next world, guys. We're really getting down to the wire here, so we better get a move on. Coming up next, everyone, we have the world of Krakatopia. Wow, I mean, what can I say? This was the second world that I ever quested in Wizard101. I remember, what I specifically remember about Krakatopia is I was questing through Wizard City, right? And I got knowledge that there were actually different worlds in the game. This was before I unlocked Cyclops Lane or Firecat Alley or Crab Alley or any of those premium areas in Wizard City. And I needed to find out how to get to Krakatoa because I realized it was the next world. I had like read a list of worlds that were out or something like that, and I tried to like find a way here through Wizard City, which obviously it's through the spiral door, but like I couldn't get into Bartleby because I hadn't gone to Cyclops Lane or Firecat Alley, so I couldn't access the spiral within him, you know, and everything like that. So I just remember like eventually finding my way here somehow, and when I did, honestly, it was beautiful. Like, it was beautiful experiencing a new world for the first time, and that's really the feeling Krakatopia gave me. Like, I remember getting here and I was like, oh my god, what the fuck, like, what, where am I? Like, this isn't Wizard101, or at least, I don't know, it didn't feel like it because the whole world had a different theme and everything. Guys, don't judge me. I was just a kid, okay? I was just a kid, but I remember coming up to the pyramid here, and I was just like, okay, this is, like, fucking insane, and I'm just like, whoa, you know, like, I'm in a fucking pyramid. Like, I'm... There are dogs wearing clothes here. There are crocs wearing clothes here, standing upright. It was insane for me. It was absolutely insane. I remember coming up here a lot, you know, and kind of just praying to the Tut God, you know, and everything like that. And just kind of, I don't know, vibing. I know that word wasn't as prevalent back then, but yeah, I was just straight vibing in Krakatoa. That's just, I don't know, that's just the stuff that I remember specifically from here, even though it was so long ago, and it was the second world that I ever quested in, which is absolutely insane. And honestly, I love that I get to come back here for videos, because I kind of relive a little bit of the nostalgia, you know, and memories that I shared with the worlds and everything, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, we're getting to the end here, so we have, what, like 3 worlds left or something like that? Let's move on to those. Next up on the list is going to be the world of Marylebone, and holy shit, this world is really nostalgic. This one, oh my god, like, okay, I'm just gonna say it. It's kind of similar to Wisteria in the fact that its design, it's like, you know, Victorian style urban city, as well as combined with the amazing music. Some of the best music in the game, definitely. Just evokes like this certain feeling of nostalgia. And I just remember questing through Marylebone and everything, still being a kid, and just having a really, really fun time while doing it. I'll just turn that down a bit now. I just wanted you guys to hear it because, or at least hear it a little bit better, because I feel like, I don't know, music is a huge part of like a world in general, and in Marylebone, it is absolutely like just what drives me to like finish the world and like finish the quest. Because I'll be honest, the quests aren't the most fun. Like, there's obviously worlds with like more immersive quests and everything like that, and like a better story to it, but Marylebone's isn't too bad. And honestly, I remember climbing Big Ben. I remember going through each of the streets. I remember getting pulled by mobs on rooftops and everything like that, and oh my god, it was just insane. I remember coming here after Croc and I was like, whoa, a new world. that's just my reaction, you know, every time I come into a new world, because it's just new content, and that's just what I love. Honestly, I can't wait for them to come out with the next world, and I can relive, you know, some of that same feeling of just a new world coming out and like new stuff to explore. King's get on that. Anyway, Marylebone, the music really takes me back, man. It really takes me back to a time when I was a kid, and I was just soloing, you know, most of the stuff, because it still wasn't too difficult. And I was just chilling, man. I was just chilling, my level 20 ass, 20, 30 ass, you know, just vibing throughout Marylebone, running across the rooftops, and just having a really, really good time with it. That's really all I gotta say about Marylebone. I think I touched on that pretty well. Nostalgia, it's just that feeling that it's hard to explain, but, you know, obviously in this video I'm trying to put it into words, and I think I'm doing an okay job. I don't know. Let me know if you guys have similar feelings towards like any of these worlds in the comments down below. Obviously, I love your opinions, you know, and I'd love to hear them. So anyways, let's move on to the next world. Coming in at second place, just barely didn't make that first place spot, but we have Grizzle Hime, the world of Grizzle Hime. Oh my god, it's amazing. Like, this world, honestly, I love it. Like, it's one of my favorites, definitely, in the spiral, but the nostalgia, holy shit. Like, just the foresty landscape, you know, as well as like that music, that god, it takes me, guys, I'm not gonna lie, it takes me back to some old days, you know, of questing through it. It really does take me back. Honestly, it's kind of insane that at one point, like, I came to Grizzle Hime for the first time. Also, another nostalgic thing about Grizzle Hime, like that first quest, I remember that first quest in Wizard City where you got to go to Grizzle Hime briefly for like a little period and talk to like all the vendors and like establish like some trades with Wizard City or something like that, or at least you did something similar like that. But I remember that quest. I remember coming to Grizzle Hime and I was just like, wow, like this place looks awesome. I'm like, wait, is this like part of Wizard City or something, or is this like an area near Wizard City, or I don't know, just an area I hadn't gotten access to yet. It was just awesome. I finished the quest line, all happy and everything that I got access to a new area. And then, oh god. And then obviously it TPs you out of the world, right? It teleports you out. And you go back to Wizard City and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I'm like, how do I get back? Like, I wanna go back there, you know, I wanna experience the rest of it. And eventually I got to, but I remember just hearing those words, you know, you had to be at least level 20 to enter Grizzle Hime or something like that. And I was just crushed because I was probably like, what, level 10 or something like that? So I was just lost and confused. And I don't know. That's just one of the nostalgic things I have about Grizzle Hime that I will never forget. I will never forget. Grizzle Hime, I love you as a world. Your nostalgic music, your I don't know, this world reeks of nostalgia, just in the way that it was made. That's all I really have to say about it. Anyways, let's move on to the number 1 spot. I think all of you, through the process of elimination, knows what it is by now. But anyways, let's go there. But everyone, at number 1, obviously, we have Wizard City. It has to go here. I mean, let's be honest. It's an absolute nostalgia trip. Whenever I come here, like, it's always going to be the same Wizard City to me. You know, even though it has updated graphics and updated sounds and updated animation and everything like that, it's still going to be the same Wizard City, you know, the same classic. Here, let's actually just turn on classic mode. You know, I kind of want to see, here, where is it? There it is. Classic mode, let's turn it on. All right, it's going to download the little art things and everything. So I kind of want to see how this looks when it's classic, because obviously, like, the classic design, I mean, obviously it looks a lot worse, but, like, this is nostalgia right here. Holy crap, it looks awful. Just roasting King Zal out here, but seriously, this is, I mean, especially Ravenwood, like, this is Wizard City in a nutshell. This is your origin story. This is where you came from, you know? Like, this is it. Like, this is what being a wizard means, if that makes sense. Like, from its music to its magical design to its quest line, which is also amazing. This world just has a way of evoking that sort of nostalgia, you know, that will really never go away for me. I don't think personally it'll ever go away. It's just so strong, and honestly, there's not much I gotta say about Wizard City, because I feel like most people have quested through it, and I feel like most of you really know what I'm talking about. You guys kind of know this just magical feeling, like this certain feeling that you get whenever you enter Ravenwood. And oh my god, that old theme whew, really takes me back. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. What an incredible world. And of course, the most nostalgic. But anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. Let's revert back to let's revert back to the new graphics, because obviously they look a lot better, especially for videos and everything like that. There we go. We got our little beautiful Ravenwood back. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your opinions of the most nostalgic worlds down below, or, you know, rank all of them if you want. Go through as much effort as I did. But anyways, that's going to be all from me, guys. Make sure to leave a like, you know, if you're enjoying the content, or subscribe maybe in the future if you know, want to get notified for more content, everything. You know, it helps motivate me and everything, and I love making videos for you guys. So anyways, hopefully you guys did enjoy. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys. Peace out, and enjoy the rest of your day.